Extradition protesters are moving in barricades and attaching them to the vehicular entrance to the police headquarters. Just behind us there are thousands of protesters, many clad in black with face masks and wearing hard hats and goggles, chanting profanity at the police, of which there are about only a dozen looking on as thousands are gathered outside and blocking roads. Here we can see so perhaps you can hear me a bit better now. So as you can see, protesters are blocking the vehicular access to the police headquarters in Wan Chai, just at the end of Arsenal Street, using zip ties. They have put metal barricades in sets of 3, attaching them now to the gates. This is just as behind us thousands of No to China extradition protesters are gathered, chanting profanity and calling for accountability outside the police headquarters. Every time an officer moves around inside the building or outside, of which there must be no more than a couple of dozen looking on, there is jeering, and we've just seen a couple of eggs thrown at the building. Otherwise there has been no physical action, just a lot of swearing and profanity relating to people's mothers. Police have shut down the report room here at the Wan Chai police headquarters and have complained that emergency services have been affected. A couple of hours ago we spoke to pro-Beijing lawmaker Regina Ip, who said that this is causing massive inconvenience and they should go home. But as people are getting off work, it seems there is no sign of things calming down here. A lot of angry scenes actually, not so much singing Alleluia tonight, a lot of jeering. So road cones being moved in, water barricades, metal barricades, people working together to zip tie them onto the gates here. Some of the ads on the other side of the wall promoting a TVB drama have been defaced, and the occupation zone stretches all the way from Admiralty, government headquarters, legislature, over to Wan Chai. Not many people down by Revenue Tower, although there's some meaty-looking barricades, some rocks and huge metal girders, in fact, have been moved into the road. So the more zip ties that are attached, the tougher this will be to remove. So you're one of the demonstrators just out here outside outside police headquarters. What's the purpose of this current operation you are overseeing?
Because the police say that we are in June 12th, they say we are some kind of violence, so they catch few people on that day, and that day the people who are violent is the police, is not the citizen. So we want the police to listen to us to release the people who caught on the 12th of June, but they didn't listen to anything. They didn't do anything. So we are just want the police to listen to our voice, but as you see, the police didn't do anything here. Because as many people already want to speak in the police, what we want is very simple. We just want them to release all the people. But until this moment, they still haven't any answer to us. So that's why we are blocking the gates, blocking the entrance and exit to make them listen to us.
Police have said they're very concerned about emergency services and providing, these services for the public, and now you're barricading the actual gates for the vehicle access. So you're a bit concerned how the public may react to this action.
Well, actually, this is the police sector, but it's still got a few another police station nearby. So we won't. So if people call the 999 for the police emergency, it's still got people can settle the problem. Not only the headquarters have the police.
Some people were calling for escalated action, maybe seeing some clashes, later this evening that we saw on Telegram in some groups. Do you think that's going to happen? And what do you think would be the benefit if we see those scenes tonight?
Well, actually, I don't know. It all depends on what the police action will take. But as you see, although the people is blocking here, but when the ambulance is coming, when there's some emergency happen, we will still give the road to the ambulance. So. Well, actually, it do happen in the afternoon. The ambulance is coming, but we still let the ambulance to go. The people will just go away and let open the road for the ambulance. So nothing will happen for any emergency problem.
So keeping it peaceful.
Yeah, we are keeping peace and make sure it's safety.
What would you hope to happen in the coming hours? What do you actually want to hear from the police? What do you think it would take to get people to disperse, go home at this stage?
Actually, first of all, I want the police admit that in 12th of June, they are using the violence, and they are vigilant, they are using the violence.
And they use the tear gas and
they use tear gas. They're using the gun with the bullet, which hurt our people. Some people just went to the hospital because of this, and they cost the people inside the hospital, and which is this nonsense for this thing. Why you cost the people in the hospital? They are getting hurt. So we hope the police will listen to us, and they could let the people have the right to stay in the hospital to get healed and not scare them because of the violence.
Just one more question. A lot of this protest tonight seems to be aimed at the police. Are people still calling for action from Carrie Lam, the extradition law? What other themes are happening?
Well, actually, the cause of this thing is because the government is setting up the law for sending people back, the law of getting back to China. And here still is Hong Kong here. So we shouldn't follow the laws of China, and they shouldn't send us back to China because we violence the law of China. Here is Hong Kong. We should follow the laws of Hong Kong, not China. So we hope the government could give up for setting up this law, because it's really violence our laws in Hong Kong and make the people in Hong Kong is not safe.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Stay safe.
Yeah, right.
Thanks.
Sorry for my bad English.
No problem, it's great. Thank you. Just speaking to one of the demonstrators there who's overseeing this operation led by maybe a dozen or so no to extradition protesters, whereby they are attaching, I'd say hundreds of zip ties to barricades that have been upturned, attached to each other, and in one case strapped to the gates for the vehicular access, and we can see over a dozen police vans just inside there. So this will surely be a great inconvenience to the force this evening. Many wearing masks, and there is a lot of reluctance in this round of protests over the last couple of weeks for people to give their names, to be identified, to show their faces. Some cheers just over by the front of the government headquarters there, where signal is a bit patchy, as someone is waving a black version of the Golden Bohemia Hong Kong flag. Well, today's drama began just before 11 o'clock when the night before protesters began to gather at the rear of the legislature, calling for 4 demands to be met by the government by 5 p.m. That deadline passed. They were calling for the recharacterization of last Wednesday's protest, which the government and authorities and police have called a riot, although they have backed down a little and just said only some people may be convicted of rioting. They're calling for some accountability with regards to apparent police brutality last week, calling for the extradition law to be scrapped. We saw no movement on any of that, and as crowds swelled this morning in the heat, they began to move eastwards in somewhat of a wildcat action, very unexpected, very ground up, no leaders, as they moved down through Hong Kong Island, blocking roads, into Harcourt Road, towards the police headquarters here, and as far as Revenue Tower, where briefly protesters were occupying the ground floor there. Government workers sent home, the legislature closed, government headquarters closed, and now crowds swelling, mostly young people, around the police headquarters in Wan Chai, chanting abuse, cheering, jeering whenever there is a movement over at the headquarters here. A police spokesman called for people to go home since emergency services are being affected, and a pro-Beijing lawmaker, Regina Rip, who we interviewed a bit earlier today, also called for protesters not to inconvenience the public, saying that the threat of violence is no way to go about things. So, yeah, it's a bit tense down in Wan Chai at the moment, and this is where most of the protesters are at the moment. There are some around the rear of the legislature. There are a few first aid and supply stations dotted around here. As we mentioned, there does seem to be a threat of escalated action that have been circulating on some mass telegram groups in Hong Kong, encrypted messaging app. But at the moment, the worst we've seen is a few eggs thrown at the police headquarters walls, some strobe flashlights shone at the police front lines, and there's only 1 or 2 dozen blue shirt police officers, and a few of them are recording what's going on with cameras just down there past the flyover. So metal barricades, water barricades, cones, and hundreds of zip ties now being secured in front of in front of police headquarters here in Wan Chai. People chanting black cops. Okay.
我就係咁樣講啫嘛，但係你抬到咁高嘅嘛。我哋睇住，得。我打橫嘅，攞正㗎。咁啊，馬都要咁樣打嘛，落咁樣打啊！即係呢一個90度。嗰邊咪冇支撐啦。係啦，咪仲有一個條碼你放埋喺呢度，咪得咯。呢邊落啊，呢邊落。落埋啊，落少少落。係喎，咁俾呢個條碼條車咁樣擺。呢個條碼應該就呢個位咯。咁擺呢個咩？呢個擺底先啦。係啦，呢個擺地下。落地先啊！落地先。睇住。落地嘅話，入邊啲啊。出嚟先。
Earlier today we saw Democrats Roy Kwong and Lam Chek Ting down at headquarters here urging calm. Joshua Wong of Demosisto also rallying people down at police headquarters. We don't see any of them at the moment. Fierce looking barricade being erected here outside police headquarters, and there are other barricades along Hennessy Road. Some rocks and girders even have been placed into the road. Let's see if we can still get signal down towards the headquarters. Bilingual chanting. Not everyone wants to speak, but we can hear a lot of Cantonese swearing and jeering. A lot of anger.
You see why? Okay.
Each time there's some police movement, we see a lot of jeering. Move a bit closer. More eggs being thrown at the police headquarters there.
唔好製造藉口俾警察打我哋啊！請大家冷靜，唔好製造藉口俾警察襲擊我哋啊！
More eggs thrown at the station. Want to walk and talk, Mr. Yeung? This is Civic Party Chief Alvin Yeung. Are the protesters going to get what they want from the police this evening?
It's hard to say. It's up to Carrie Lam. You can see all these young men and women. They're very determined and they know what they're doing. It's entirely up to the chief executive how to resolve this problem. It's entirely up to her whether she would try to speak at least directly to these people when people are so mad, when they are using their imagination and creativity to try to express their anger. Then of course it's up to the chief executive. Right now, of course, the police has done a lot of bad things over the last week, and this is one of the main reasons why everybody is here outside the police headquarters. But then again, it should be up to the chief executive to resolve this problem, and do not hide behind wherever she is. Come out and speak to the people directly. Come out and answer to the demands directly. Be accountable. Don't stop hiding. This is my advice to her.
Well, the anger today seems to be about the police. If you were the police commissioner, what would you be saying this evening? How would you calm things down?
Well, of course, the police commissioner is one of the main reasons why all these people are here. And judging from what he has been saying over the last week, and judging from the abuse of power by the police since day one, the police has to be answerable to the people as well. So the best solution is, of course, to initiate an independent inquiry so that people would understand the government is taking the right step, the first step, to look into the matter so that people would understand that this government is trying to fix the problem.
One more question. Do you have a message for some of the protesters who have threatened clashes, this evening? And here we see quite fierce action to actually barricade the vehicular access to police headquarters. Do you approve of this action? Because many have said that this is causing huge inconvenience and maybe danger to the public.
The youngsters, they have been demonstrating maturity and consideration to the public since day one of this saga, and I have confidence that they will continue to stay that way, the way that they have been doing, and I'm sure they will exercise the right judgment so that they will not lose the trust and confidence of the general public.
Thank you, Alvin Yeung, for joining us. I appreciate it. Thanks. Well, we're just revisiting where we were at the beginning of this live stream, and just in the 10 minutes we were away, this barricade at the rear of the police headquarters here in Wan Chai has been bolstered with hundreds of cable ties, metal barricades, water barricades and cones, hindering the police from getting in and out of their own main base here in Wan Chai. Just speaking there to the Civic Party chief, Alvin Yeung. We are throwing dozens of cones over. And a picture just on the lamppost there of the police commissioner who was just talking about Stephen Low. Protesters in hard hats, goggles, face masks have been gathering mostly at police headquarters this evening in Wan Chai, on the flyovers over on Hennessy Road. And the road closure is dotted with the supply stations, with water, face masks, gloves, goggles, hard hats, cable ties, ice packs, since it's very hot tonight, and first aid stations along the route as well. This is an ad for a TVB drama apparently, and it's been defaced. And a lot of young people taking a rest here as we walk towards Admiralty. That's where the Wildcat action began this morning, following a protest that lasted overnight with hundreds of young people rallied by student unions separately to the Civil Front, main organisers of the Million Man March and the 2 Million Man March, as they put it in terms of turnout over the last couple of weekends. The Civil Front have said that they will support other action if it's peaceful, and it's so far been peaceful tonight and throughout the day, aside from some eggs being thrown as we saw there at the police headquarters. But as we move down towards Admiralty, thousands of students, young people, sat down in the road. And there's a lot around government headquarters and the legislature too. People organising themselves, as there are no leaders to this movement, just going down Harcourt Road now. Organising themselves on encrypted apps, messaging platforms like Telegram, in big mass groups, and upvoting and downvoting civil disobedience ideas on a Reddit-style local website. Calling for the police to be held accountable for the use of tear gas, rubber bullets last Wednesday. Anger very much turned against the police in recent days. The Civil Front have said that the next big flashpoint for them would be the July 1st annual pro-democracy march. They've urged people to stay in Hong Kong in case there are protests before then. But otherwise, that may be the next mass traditional protest. And here, as people getting off work, we can see Harcourt Road filling up again. Very minimal police presence. I mean, we saw some frontline officers down by the police station there, but very few around the perimeter of this occupied zone. We may lose signal down here, but you can see some banners, the Lennon Wall over there with pro-democracy messages and messages of support. People sharing food, sitting in the road. People singing Hallelujah, the theme tune of the movement. Police Chief Stephen Low.
Yeah.
What does it say?
Have you met him? He's missing. He's missing.
Oh, I see. So what are you hoping to hear from him?
Here to sorry and to release the people. You know. Yeah.
Is this a wanted sign?
I think he is inside there. So
Police headquarters.
Yeah. So please come here to say to the people, please.
So a wanted sign for the police chief, Stephen Low there, asking him to release protesters and to backtrack from the characterization of last Wednesday's unrest as a riot. Well, here's a scene just a couple of weeks ago we would have thought was impossible. Harcourt Road, ground zero for the 2014 umbrella movement, again occupied, traffic closed down, the legislature, government headquarters vacated today and shut down, and it could be a long weekend. So that's our walkthrough. Stay with us throughout the evening. Got our team out and about, and we'll see what happens next. Very unpredictable at the moment, but all this stretch from Central, just over the bridge there, down to Wan Chai Revenue Tower, currently closed to traffic, with the majority of the action outside police headquarters, where things are a bit tense. So stay tuned.